So, Nikki finally decided she wanted to end it all. She was done with the toxic relationship with her adoptive father and just wanted to be free. All she wanted was to marry her boyfriend and start fresh, making it clear there was no way this forbidden relationship could continue. Her adoptive father, Bablu, seemed to be completely ungrateful. After everything Nikki had done for him, fulfilling his every bizarre demand, he still wanted more. He even went as far as trying to force her to break up with her boyfriend, refusing to let her move on. To make things worse, Bablu didn't know when to stop. He had zero boundaries, completely ignoring the situation or timing. Hello, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into another shocking and heartbreaking real-life story. This time, it comes from the city of Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu, India. At first glance, this family seemed picture-perfect, a harmonious unit, living a seemingly happy life. But beneath the surface, the wife was enduring emotional torment. Her husband had been caught cheating multiple times, yet she kept forgiving him for the sake of their children. It was a cycle she couldn't escape, driven by love for her family and the hope that things might improve. But then, an even darker truth came to light. Not only had her husband been unfaithful with other women, but he had also been preying on their adopted child. What led to this horrifying revelation? How did this seemingly normal family unravel into such a devastating story? Let's unpack this shocking case and explore it in depth. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this story with your friends so more people can join the conversation. Now, let's get into it. Our story starts in 1976, in a small village called Karangulam, India. A woman named Money was born and raised there, becoming the pride of her family. She excelled in her studies and later pursued a career in the health sector, becoming a civil servant. Money's hard work and dedication earned her a transfer to the city of Tirunelveli in 2001, where she started working at a public hospital. Through a colleague, Money was introduced to a man named Bablu. Bablu, a successful businessman with a small team of employees, was charming and seemed like the perfect match. Despite being 2 years younger than Money, their connection was strong. Their courtship was short, just 5 months, and they tied the knot in 2003. Money was 27 at the time, and Bablu was 25. It was only after their marriage that Money discovered something shocking. Bablu had been married before, but the relationship ended in failure. At first, this revelation shook her. Why hadn't he been honest about it? But Money's love for him overshadowed her doubts. What mattered most to her was that they were building a life together. Though they hoped to have children soon, the couple struggled to conceive. Money deeply yearned for a child but tried to remain patient, trusting that it would happen in time. Meanwhile, Bablu's work kept him busy, with irregular hours and constant travel. Although he came home every day, his unpredictable schedule made things tough for Money, who was often left feeling alone. By mid-2004, as Money and Bablu were in their second year of marriage, Money started receiving strange, anonymous SMS messages. These messages claimed that Bablu was meeting another woman at an inn. At first, Money brushed them off. She trusted her husband and assumed these were just rumors or misunderstandings. Perhaps it was simply a business client he was meeting, she thought. But in September, something changed. One particular message was unusually specific, providing details about a meeting at a suburban hotel. Curiosity and suspicion got the better of her, so Money decided to investigate. She went to the hotel, but the receptionist initially refused to provide any information. Money then cleverly claimed she was there to deliver something for a guest, and the receptionist gave her the room number. What she found shocked her. Bablu was in the room, caught red-handed with another woman. The confrontation was explosive, with shouting loud enough to be heard in nearby rooms. The argument continued even after they returned home, and in her anger, Money told Bablu to leave. However, Bablu wasn't ready to let go of their marriage. He begged for forgiveness, promising it was a one-time mistake and would never happen again. With pressure from family members and a mediation effort, the two reconciled. Money decided to take him back, not just for companionship but also to maintain her reputation as her career at the hospital was flourishing. She wanted to project stability in both her personal and professional life. In 2005, after still struggling to have a child of her own, Money decided to adopt. That's when Nikki, a 15-year-old girl, entered their lives. Nikki's father had once been Money's neighbor in their village, but he had passed away in 2005. Since then, Nikki had been living with her aunt under challenging conditions. Money and Bablu agreed to adopt Nikki and welcomed her into their home, treating her like their own child. Some of Money's colleagues encouraged the idea, suggesting that Nikki's presence might bring positive energy and even help Money conceive naturally. Others believed that adopting a younger child, like a toddler, would have been a better choice. But Money felt Nikki was the right fit, especially since she had known her late father. Nikki's arrival brought a fresh dynamic to their household. The once quiet home now felt lively, and Money finally had someone to share her maternal instincts with. Interestingly, Bablu had begun working more from home after the hotel incident, making their family unit feel more cohesive, at least on the surface. Although they always thought the idea of adopting Nikki as a good luck charm to help Money conceive was just a myth, life took an unexpected turn. In 2007, Money became pregnant with their first biological son, followed by a second son in 2010. Despite having her own children now, Money's affection for Nikki never wavered. In fact, Nikki loved her two younger brothers deeply and was never insecure about being adopted. She knew she wasn't their biological child, but the family bond was as strong as ever. By 2011, Nikki had graduated high school, and Money proudly enrolled her in law school in Melithediyor. Nikki graduated in 2014 and began working at the Tirunelveli City Detention Center in 2015. Once she started her job, Nikki chose to rent a room closer to her workplace for convenience. Still, she made it a point to visit home every month or two, spending time with her family and taking her younger brothers out for fun outings and meals. For Money, Nikki's regular visits were heartwarming. It showed her that Nikki hadn't forgotten where she came from. Nikki could have distanced herself now that she had her own career and financial independence, but instead, she stayed close. Money was proud of the young woman Nikki had become, independent, respectful, and free of trouble. However, things took a strange turn in early 2017. During a holiday gathering, Money caught a glimpse of Nikki and her husband Bablu having a heated argument in the side yard. When she asked about it, Bablu dismissed it as a minor disagreement about Nikki's rental room in Tirunelveli. Both of them looked visibly upset, with flushed faces, but Money didn't press further. She chalked it up to an everyday father-daughter spat, possibly involving Nikki's new boyfriend. A few weeks later, with Nikki out of town on a work assignment, Money noticed her husband was barely at home. Their two sons were mostly cared for by the housemaids. When she questioned Bablu about his whereabouts, he claimed he was meeting business clients or checking on their other properties in Savanthappady. The family owned 2 additional houses there, one vacant and the other rented out. The unoccupied house, he said, needed attention, as they were searching for a new tenant. Money found his reasons plausible, though she did notice he was acting more distant than usual. In February 2017, Money's 2 sons, aged 10 and 7 at the time, innocently shared something unsettling with their mother. They mentioned how their father, Bablu, often fought with their older sister Nikki when she visited. These arguments weren't minor. They happened in the house, in the garden, and even behind the barn. One of the boys even saw Bablu slap Nikki during one of these heated exchanges. Concerned, Money confronted her husband. Bablu brushed it off, claiming he was frustrated with Nikki because she was becoming defiant and no longer listened to him. "She's stubborn now," he said, "always siding with her boyfriend instead of taking my advice." Money, however, had her doubts. Nikki had always been respectful and obedient. It didn't make sense for her to suddenly rebel against Bablu, who had been a father figure to her for years. Curious but not wanting to jump to conclusions, Money's mother even called Nikki to ask what was going on. Nikki's response was vague. "It's nothing serious, just some disagreements about my boyfriend." Still, Money felt uneasy. A boyfriend seemed like a trivial reason for such intense arguments, and even physical altercations. By early June 2017, things took a more troubling turn. Money received a voice message on her phone from an unknown number. The sender introduced himself as Monty, a 26-year-old who claimed to be Nikki's boyfriend in Tirunelveli. In the message, Monty accused Nikki of being involved in a special relationship with her adoptive father, Bablu. He explained that he had been suspicious for months and had started following Nikki, monitoring her WhatsApp chats and eavesdropping on her phone calls. What he discovered shook him to the core. Monty claimed he had seen Nikki and Bablu together at a house, one that was supposedly empty. He sent Money a photo of the property, saying he had even tried knocking on the door when he followed them there, but no one answered. To Money's shock, the house in the photo was one of their properties in Savantha, the same house they had been trying to rent out. Despite Monty's evidence and accusations, Money refused to believe him. She was outraged that Monty would make such a claim against her husband and lashed out at him for even suggesting such a thing. Yet, deep down, a small seed of doubt began to grow, leaving Money torn between disbelief and the unsettling feeling that something wasn't quite right. For days, Money couldn't shake the thoughts swirling in her head after Monty's message. Then, on a Sunday afternoon in mid-June 2017, Nikki came home to visit. Money, trying to act normal, told everyone she had plans to attend a social gathering with her coworkers. By late afternoon, only her 2 sons and their assistant were at home. When Money asked about the others, Bablu said he was going to check on one of their rental properties because a potential tenant wanted to see it. Nikki, he claimed, had gone to visit a school friend. Suspicious, Money decided to head to the rental property herself, determined to catch her husband and adopted daughter if something inappropriate was happening. But when she got there, she found Bablu showing the house to a young couple who were genuinely interested in renting it. Relieved but still uneasy, Money returned home. Later that evening, Nikki called to say she was heading straight back to Tirunelveli to meet a friend, skipping her usual overnight stay at home. 2 days later, on a Tuesday afternoon in June 2017, Money's world was turned upside down. Around 2 p.m., she received a call from a nurse at the City General Hospital, urging her to come immediately. Her husband, Bablu, had been admitted with severe injuries. Panicked, Money rushed to the hospital, only to find her husband unconscious. Authorities informed her that Bablu had been attacked with a sharp-edged weapon, and the alleged assailant was none other than their adopted daughter, Nikki. The attack had taken place at the same rental property in Savantha. Nikki had already been taken into custody by the authorities. When Money visited her at the station, she found Nikki quiet, teary-eyed, and unable to explain her actions. All she could manage to say was, "I'm sorry." Money pleaded for answers, desperate to understand what had led to this shocking incident, but Nikki stayed silent. Bablu underwent surgery, but his condition was critical. After spending 10 days in a coma, he passed away at the age of 39. His death not only shattered the family but also left Nikki in an even more precarious position. The charges against her were severe, and without an explanation or defense, she faced the possibility of a harsh punishment. This incident left Money grappling with an enormous puzzle. What could have really happened between her husband and Nikki? It didn't seem like just a casual argument. Something far deeper had escalated to the point where a sharp object ended the confrontation. While Nikki remained silent with both investigators and her adoptive mother, she eventually opened up to her lawyer, who had previously handled similar sensitive cases. It was through this lawyer that the heartbreaking truth finally surfaced. Nikki, 25 years old, began recounting the events that led to the tragic incident. She explained that everything started a few years ago, shortly after her mother Money fell ill and required hospitalization. According to Nikki, she once caught Bablu at their vacant Savantha property in bed with another woman. This discovery infuriated her. Nikki had always held deep love and respect for Money, and seeing her adoptive father betray the woman who cared so deeply for him was unbearable. Bablu, however, apologized profusely and begged Nikki not to tell her mother. He claimed it would shatter the family's peace and harmony. Reluctantly, Nikki kept quiet. But what followed was far more disturbing. Bablu began manipulating Nikki, luring her into a twisted and inappropriate relationship. He justified his behavior by complaining that Money, especially after falling ill, was no longer as attentive or romantic as she used to be. He painted himself as a victim, claiming he was left unsatisfied and that it would be better for Nikki to help him rather than him seeking comfort in the arms of other women. To Nikki's dismay and confusion, she found herself trapped in Bablu's manipulation. Her sense of loyalty to money and the family's facade of harmony weighed heavily on her. Over time, she complied with Bablu's demands, and this twisted dynamic continued for nearly 5 years. This revelation shocked everyone involved in the case. It explained the tension between Nikki and Bablu that had been observed by family members, yet no one had dared to probe deeper. In recent months, Nikki's forbidden relationship with Bablu started to unravel, especially as her boyfriend, Monty, began noticing things. Desperate to break free, Nikki decided it was time to end everything. She wanted to move on with her life, marry Monty, and put the past behind her. There was no way this toxic and forbidden relationship with her adoptive father could continue. For weeks, she had been trying to distance herself from Bablu, but he refused to let her go. He would manipulate her emotions, saying he'd find someone else or, worse, threatening to end his own life. Nikki felt trapped. She worried about what would happen if her adoptive parents' marriage fell apart because of her or if Bablu did something drastic. Feeling a sense of responsibility, she reluctantly continued their twisted dynamic. Things took a darker turn when Bablu started demanding that she break up with Monty. Bablu claimed he was in love with Nikki and couldn't let her go. This pushed Nikki over the edge. She had been trying so hard to free herself, but Bablu's possessiveness and selfishness were suffocating. He wasn't satisfied with all that she had already sacrificed. It wasn't enough that Nikki had reluctantly fulfilled his demands. Now he wanted her to give up Monty too. Bablu's behavior became unbearable. He showed no respect for boundaries or timing. On one occasion, he even forced himself on Nikki when she was clearly upset. This made her realize how far things had gone. Nikki felt completely stuck, like there was no escape from this nightmare. Finally, during a heated argument in their Savantha Patty house, Bablu once again tried to force himself on her. That was the breaking point. In a moment of desperation, Nikki lashed out with the knife she had been carrying. It was the only way she saw to end the torment once and for all. After the attack, instead of running, Nikki turned herself into the authorities, ready to face the consequences of her actions, hoping to finally gain her freedom. Money was completely shattered by the revelations. She never imagined that her husband, Bablu, could stoop so low, not just betraying her with random women, but involving their own adopted daughter. It was beyond her worst nightmares. As more information came out during the investigation, it was revealed that throughout their 15 years of marriage, Bablu had cheated with at least 10 different women. Each time, Money had forgiven him, hoping he would change. One of those incidents even involved a neighbor's housekeeper. Relatives had tried warning her about Bablu's behavior in the past, but Money chose to ignore it, thinking that focusing on those betrayals would only deepen her pain. Over time, she admitted she had grown tired, physically and emotionally. Battling diabetes and gout, her energy often drained by the time she got home from work, Money would head straight to bed. She knew she wasn't as attentive to Bablu's needs as she once was, but she felt that was part of growing older together. Why couldn't he just be content with what he had? Other husbands are faithful, so why wasn't mine? She often wondered. Money refused to accept her illness or her exhaustion as an excuse for Bablu's actions. After all, he had been unfaithful long before her health declined. At Nikki's trial in the Tyrunelville District Court, the truth spilled out in full. Nikki revealed that the inappropriate relationship with Bablu began after her mother's health deteriorated. According to her, Bablu manipulated and pressured her into fulfilling the role Money could no longer play, using threats to ensure her compliance. Nikki said she gave in, not out of willingness, but out of fear and the immense pressure Bablu placed on her. Money, heartbroken, expressed her deep regret over everything that had happened. She loved Nikki dearly and always saw her as a dutiful and honest daughter. But this horrifying turn of events was a wake-up call. While Money did not excuse her late husband's actions, she also couldn't condone Nikki's decision to take his life. It left her grappling with the pain of betrayal and loss. In mid-December 2018, the judge and jury delivered their verdict, finding Nikki guilty of intentionally and premeditatedly taking the life of her adoptive father. She was also charged with disorderly conduct and sentenced to a maximum of 25 years in prison. Bablu's parents were furious with the court's decision, demanding a harsher sentence and pressuring Money to appeal. However, Money firmly refused. She made it clear that Bablu was the one who had committed the greater wrong. To back her stance, Money revealed that she had been sent numerous videos, shared anonymously, that showed Bablu engaging in intimate acts with various women. These videos painted a damning picture of Bablu's unfaithfulness and manipulative behavior during his lifetime. Bablu's parents were left speechless by the shocking evidence. For the first time, they were confronted with the reality of their son's actions, and their outrage was replaced by stunned silence. Money, though heartbroken, remained resolute in her belief that justice had been served, albeit in a painful and tragic way. What lessons can we learn from this story?